Iranian-Afghan border 80 kilometers east of Zahedan. 6:30 in the morning. 120 U.S. Army Rangers moved rapidly across the rocky terrain toward Iran's massive fortress. Meanwhile, Iranian soldiers in the guard towers scanned the surroundings while 200 Iranian border guards inside continued their routine morning duties. Unaware of the approaching U.S. Rangers, the fortress controlled the main smuggling route between Afghanistan and Iran, serving as the command center for Iranian border operations. Destroying this fortress would Iran's ability to control weapons trafficking along this section of the border for months. The Rangers had crossed into Iran 2 hours earlier under cover of darkness, moving through mountain passes that Iranian patrols rarely monitored. Now, as the sun climbed higher in the morning sky, they were 800 m from their objective and preparing for the final assault. Team leaders studied the fortress through binoculars, confirming that the layout matched their intelligence photos and identifying weak points in the defenses. At 650, two Ranger snipers positioned 600 m from the fortress used suppressed rifles to quietly eliminate the guards in the northeastern tower, dropping both Iranians before they could raise alarm. With the tower cleared, 4 Ranger teams moved forward simultaneously toward different sections of the fortress walls, using rocks and dried creek beds for cover as they approached. Each team had a specific mission designed to overwhelm the Iranian defenders from multiple directions at once. Alpha team sprinted toward the main gate carrying explosives to blow through the reinforced steel barrier. Bravo team moved along the northern wall toward a service entrance. Charlie team approached from the south with ladders to scale the wall where no guard tower could observe them. Delta team headed for the western wall where they would blast a hole through the concrete to create a new entry point. The Iranian guards in the remaining towers spotted the Ranger teams advancing across open ground and immediately sounded the alarm. Sirens began wailing throughout the fortress as soldiers inside rushed to their battle stations, manning machine gun positions at windows and preparing to defend against the attacking force. Alpha team reached the main gate at exactly 7:00 and placed shaped charges against the steel barrier while other Rangers provided covering fire toward the guard towers. When the team leader triggered the detonator, the explosion blew a hole through the gate and sent the steel barrier crashing inward. Rangers began flowing through the breach, immediately coming under fire from Iranian machine gun positions on the second floor. The Rangers took cover behind vehicles parked in the courtyard while returning fire, and 2 soldiers were wounded in the opening exchange, but both remained in the fight. The Alpha team leader directed his machine gunners to suppress the Iranian positions while assault teams moved forward to clear the ground floor. Bravo team found the service entrance secured with a heavy chain, and the team's breacher cut through it with bolt cutters before Rangers stacked up on either side of the door. They breached with a shotgun blast that destroyed the lock, then entered through a narrow corridor. The hallway was dimly lit and the Rangers moved carefully, clearing storage rooms one by one to ensure no Iranian soldiers were positioned to ambush them from behind. Charlie team began scaling the southern wall with ladders when an Iranian guard spotted them and opened fire with his AK-103 rifle. The guard's shots went wide as Rangers at the base of the wall returned fire, hitting the Iranian and forcing him back from the wall's edge. Within 30 seconds, the first Rangers were over the wall and dropping into a second-floor corridor, where they immediately engaged 3 Iranian soldiers who had been rushing toward the southern side of the fortress. Delta team placed their breaching charges against the western wall at ground level, positioning 40 kg of C4 explosive in a pattern designed to blow a hole large enough for Rangers to enter in tactical formation. The team leader gave a warning over the radio net to alert other teams, then triggered the detonator. The explosion was massive, blowing a 3-meter hole through the thick concrete and showering the interior with debris. Rangers poured through the new breach and found themselves in what appeared to be a weapons storage room on the ground floor. Racks of rifles lined the walls and ammunition crates were stacked to the ceiling, and the Rangers quickly secured the room before moving deeper into the fortress. They encountered their first significant resistance in the main hallway, where 6 Iranian soldiers had established a defensive position behind overturned furniture. The firefight in the hallway lasted 2 minutes with both sides exchanging fire at ranges of less than 20 meters. The Rangers used grenades to force the Iranians out of their covered positions, then rushed forward with overwhelming firepower that killed 4 defenders and forced the other 2 to retreat up a stairwell to the second floor. By 7:15, all 4 Ranger teams were inside the fortress and beginning the difficult work of clearing the multi-level building room by room. The Iranians had the advantage of knowing the layout and had prepared defensive positions at critical narrow passages, while the Rangers had superior training and equipment that gave them an edge in the close quarters fighting. Alpha team fought their way into the ground floor command center, where they found maps and communication equipment showing the locations of Iranian border posts across the entire region. They destroyed the equipment with thermite grenades that burned hot enough to melt through computers and radios, then moved to secure the main stairwell that provided access to the upper floors. The stairwell was a narrow passage where Iranian defenders could fire down on anyone trying to climb, and the Iranians had positioned a machine gun team at the second-floor landing with excellent firing positions down the stairs. Alpha Team's first attempt to rush the stairs was turned back by heavy machine gun fire that wounded 3 Rangers, and the team leader realized they needed a different approach. Instead of continuing to assault up the stairs directly into the machine gun's fire, Alpha Team moved back to the courtyard and used ladders to climb to the second-floor exterior windows. They breached through the windows with explosives, creating new entry points that allowed them to attack the Iranian machine gun position from the side. The side attack succeeded with Rangers killing the machine gun crew and securing the second floor landing. Bravo Team discovered a basement level beneath the fortress that intelligence had not known existed. They found 12 Afghan prisoners in cells who had been captured trying to cross the border, and the Rangers secured them for evacuation while continuing to clear the remaining rooms. Charlie Team had reached the 3rd floor where they encountered the heaviest resistance of the battle so far. 20 Iranian soldiers had strengthened the floor's main corridor with sandbags and furniture, creating a defensive line that blocked access to the upper levels. The Iranians had positioned themselves well with overlapping fields of fire, and Charlie Team's initial assault was stopped cold with 4 Rangers wounded in the first exchange. The Charlie Team leader decided to bypass the strengthened corridor by blowing through interior walls that separated rooms along the side of the building. Rangers used breaching charges to create holes in the walls, allowing them to move from room to room without entering the corridor, where the Iranian defensive position dominated. This lateral movement brought them to a position where they could attack the Iranian defense from the side, and a coordinated assault from 2 directions overwhelmed the defenders. Delta Team fought their way to the 4th floor where Iranian officers had established a final defensive position in what appeared to be the fortress commander's office. The Iranians had barricaded the doors and were firing through windows at Rangers approaching from the stairwell, and the concentrated defensive fire was preventing Delta Team from advancing. Rather than continue trading fire in the confined stairwell, Delta Team called for support from a Ranger sniper team that had established an overwatch position on high ground 600 m from the fortress. The snipers had clear lines of sight into the 4th floor windows, and they began engaging Iranian defenders with precision fire that forced them away from the windows and disrupted their defense. With sniper support suppressing the Iranian position, Delta Team rushed the barricaded door with a combination of explosive breaching and overwhelming firepower. The door blew inward, and Rangers flooded into the office, clearing the room in seconds and killing the last Iranian defenders on the 4th floor. By 7:45, the Rangers controlled all 4 levels of the fortress and had begun consolidating while treating wounded and securing prisoners. The 50-minute battle had resulted in complete seizure of the Iranian command center. American casualties were 32 Rangers wounded with 18 requiring medical evacuation and 14 able to continue with field treatment. Iranian casualties were 160 killed and 40 captured. Demolition teams moved through the fortress placing charges on equipment and structural supports, while intelligence specialists photographed documents and downloaded computer data. The rescued Afghan prisoners were prepared for evacuation along with the American wounded. At 8:20, with Iranian reinforcements 15 minutes away, the commander gave the order to withdraw. Helicopters swept in to extract the Rangers under covering fire from Apache gunships circling nearby. As the last helicopter cleared the area, demolition charges detonated in sequence and brought down all 4 levels in a massive cloud of dust and debris. The fortress that had controlled this border section for a decade collapsed into rubble.